Good morning, everybody. A little bit of a scene change. It's because now, or two reasons, I'm on Alto, so I can actually fit in my car. The other reason is, and it's not his fault because he didn't know any better, but a man with a lot of fishing gear and a kiddie pool decided to take my pavilion, and I don't have anywhere else to practice unless I want to deal with the sand gnats again. So, I'm in my car. I turned it off to save on gas, but I might turn it on here in a minute. It's kind of hot in here. What's it like outside? The exact same temperature with humidity. Crazy. So it's about 80 degrees in the car. It's not too bad. It sucks, but it's like, I'll turn the car on if it gets too hot. Yeah. So we're in the car. If it seems really loud today, turn your volume down probably, but it's going to be louder because it's bouncing off all the walls in here. This is what it's going to sound like with a closed sound, like it would be in a bedroom or something. Also, you might have noticed already, my background is very cluttered. That is because I decided that instead of moving all of my stuff out of my car, I would leave it in the car. That way I didn't have to move it 47 times. Plus, the house we're currently in is really, really small, especially the room I'm in with my little brother. There's only enough room for like 2 beds and a desk in there. And the closet is about the size of this car. Actually, I think my car is larger than the closet. Which for a closet is not a good thing when your brother has to move in and out of college. So, that's me, by the way. But, because I misspoke. But, yeah, the Alto, it's finally back. It didn't really go anywhere. I just decided not to use it. So I warmed up with it a little bit to get my mouth used to playing it again. That was probably 30 minutes ago, and then I started watching YouTube video, or I had a YouTube video playing when I did it, and then I just had to finish the video. But, yeah. So I'm in my car. I'm in the passenger seat because the, driver's seat would be too small to actually do this. Because of the steering wheel. So, I guess if you've ever wondered why people sit, where people sit in a car when filming a video, it's actually going to be typically in your passenger seat because it's got a lot more space and you can set up whatever recording device on your windshield and not have the steering wheel in the way. Now a quick, like, in the moment video they might do in the driver's seat, but actually I found that it's a lot easier to film or do pretty much anything in the passenger side. I imagine that's pretty much the same for everybody else. So very, very common phenomenon I've seen. Like food reviews and stuff will happen in your passenger seat. So yeah. It's very quiet in here. Yeah. Like it's so quiet in here, I can hear ringing in my ears. It's kind of fun. Like I can hear my thoughts actually happening in real time. So I feel like there's something I need to say, but I forgot. I guess I'll give a reason for why I didn't record yesterday. My work schedule is kind of funny in the sense that the work week starts on Thursday and I had a day off yesterday. So which was Thursday. So what I did is instead of going to work, I took my day off, or one of my 2 days off. And then when my little brother woke up, we went to the gym, and by the time we were done there, it was almost 9 o'clock. And when we got home, it was about 9:30. Because we stopped for drinks. So I figured that, one, I'm not driving back just to practice, but also, two, I don't want to practice outside in the heat with both of my little brothers home when they consistently are probably my #1 haters. So I went to bed instead and managed to get about 10 hours of sleep, which is the most sleep I've had all week. I'm very well rested. I did drink a Monster today, but that's because I've been drinking Monster all week, and I figured my body probably would do terribly without it. So I'll probably stop drinking Monster for the next couple days, just to kind of detox from it. and then probably start again on Monday, let's be honest. So that's been what's going on with me. Worked out yesterday, did legs. If you're curious, it was leg day yesterday. So I'm thinking about asking Clay to just change workouts, like officially, from Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday to Tuesday, Friday, because it helps me out a lot more, but it also is easier on him, and it means I get to practice 5 days a week and then work out 2 days a week and not feel stressed out about how tired I am. Plus, there's always a chance that one of those is my off days. So I might ask him that. I might not. We'll see. Anything else? I don't think so. We're still doing the F-sharp series. I'm going to start over on the F-sharp series just because I want to treat it like an actual series. I know that I think my last video I said that I was going to just target the ones I'm bad at, but if I'm being honest, I'm bad at all of them to a certain extent. So I'm going to start over with the F-sharp series. Treat it like a normal series, and we're still going to go backwards like I said we were. Where we're going to start on the F-sharp and then work our way backwards through the key signatures, but I'm going to treat each one like I would treat any series. I start at the top and go down. So we did the major scale. I'm going to do it again for review, because why not? If I seem like I'm a little bit better technically, like just how fast I am on alto, that's true. It's pretty common for smaller instruments to be easier to play fast, just because there's a lot less space in between your finger and where it needs to go. So that's true for almost every instrument as far as I'm aware. Like even in guitar, classical guitar is harder to play than electric guitar because it's wider. And then bass guitar is harder to play than electric guitar because the strings are thicker and they're farther from the actual wood, as far as I know. Don't take my word for it. But yeah, that's a pretty common thing. Also, the reason I don't have it pointed down while my face is right in the middle is because if I lean it down any farther, the iPad will fall. So you're only going to be able to see me in the bottom half of the screen today. I might sit up every now and then, you might get a little bit more of me, but you're only going to really get my top hand. Yeah, I have to sit up in order to play, so you're only going to really get my my first two fingers when I play. This car is too small. I love this car so much, but it is not nearly big enough for me. With everything unloaded and with relatively new filters and parts and stuff, this thing gets almost 37 miles to the gallon. I think right now it's getting high 20s, but that's because my front bumper fell off. 2 of my filters need replacing, and until recently I didn't have my oil changed, and I got it down to like 7%. And I need coolant change and like all this stuff, and I need my fender liners changed, and it's like, I told y'all this before, it's like $500, $600, maybe even $800 worth of repairs that I just don't have them. I mean, I do have the money for it, but I don't want to spend it all right now. So even if I don't decide to change filters and the coolant, which I think he said I don't necessarily have to change, but probably should, the guy I took to get the oil change, it's still going to be about $300 for the front bumper and the fender liners. So that's fun. That I can pay for right now. I just really don't want to right now. Especially because I'm not driving enough to where my gas mileage really hurts. I mean, it sucks that my gas mileage is almost 10 miles to the gallon lower than it used to be. But it's also got about 120,000 miles, almost 130,000 miles on it at this point. And it's 2015, so it's more than 10 years old, which by car standards makes it an old car. So yeah, it still has a CD player in it. That's a I think it's a CD player in it. So, yeah, it's definitely not a modern car by any means. It has a touchscreen display, but it still has a CD player in it. So it's like less modern than modern. Let's drink and have this bottle of water. We ain't even started breakfast yet. Yeah. So, also, if you're in the Keystone area, as of right now, not sponsored. These are $1, currently at Winn-Dixie. I feel like I should start giving, like, stuff that's on sale, like tips, for those of you who are in Keystone, of stuff that's on sale. I actually like, spending, I actually like helping people out with sales and stuff, because it's really, because I know I would use them. The only reason I ever bought that was because it was literally $1. Like, you can't get many drinks for $1 anymore. You can get Arizona tea, which is delicious, by the way. But if that's not what you're looking for, then you're kind of flat out of luck. So, just thought y'all should know. Like I said, if you're in the Melrose, Keystone area, go to Winn-Dixie, grab yourself some drinks. I think a lot of them are on sale right now. Yeah. Without further ado, I guess. I'm not gonna have my earbud in today. Actually, you know what? Why not? I'll just have to remember to turn the volume off when I'm done. Or just do it now. Give it a second to connect. A little fast. That's okay. All right. Also, the F-sharp series is going to sound different. That's because I'm playing on E-flat instrument now instead of a B-flat instrument like I was. Just to see, maybe I can get it to make me sit taller. No. Come here. There we go. Oh, that's better. So it's going to sound different. Don't be alarmed. If you're curious, for all you musicians out there, this would be the key of A rather than the key of E, which I would on tenor. So. Bah. Turn it up in my earbud a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I'm flying through this a lot faster than I was the other day. Partially because I've already practiced it, but partially because this is a lot easier to play quickly than tenor is. You can ask just about any saxophonist, they'll tell you it's a lot easier to play alto fast than tenor fast, or my favorite, which is Barry. You cannot play fast like you can on alto. I mean, you can try, but it's going to take you about a month longer. I know that from experience. One of the pieces I've played, every saxophonist has heard of it, and even some other instruments. It's the Paul Creston's Sonata for Alto Saxophone. I played it for my senior year of high school for solo and ensemble. I mentioned it before. Solo and ensemble. And then I also played it as my college audition piece. I played the second and the third movement. The best movement is 2, easy. That was my audition piece. But I practiced it on bari sax, and I did my FSU audition on bari sax, and I did my Stetson audition on bari sax, and I did pretty much everything on bari sax. The only thing I could not do it for was solo and ensemble. So the only other audition I did the only other audition I did without bari sax or any sort of performance was my UF audition, which I did on alto. But you have to play the Creston Sonata on alto for solo and ensemble, but I played it on bari for my Stetson audition. And I think I practiced that piece from January till March? Late February. And I did my UF audition probably early February. And I played it, as best a high schooler would, almost perfectly on alto. And then the Stetson audition I did 2 weeks later, I did worse than my alto audition because bari sax is harder, technically. It's easier to get a good tone on bari, but it's a lot harder to play fast on bari. Where alto takes a lot of embouchure control, but you can play it pretty quickly. It's the reverse, the bigger the saxophone gets. That's a little fun fact for y'all. So alto, my tone might be less than stellar according to y'all, but my speed's going to be a little bit better. That's for sure. Where tenor, strangely, hits kind of the nice middle ground, or it gets the worst of both worlds. Yeah, alto, I probably don't sound as good as I want to, but I play about as fast as I think I should be able to by now. So that's a little saxophone fun fact for y'all. Do with that information what you will. So that's not saying that bari sax players will never be fast. In fact, a lot of the players I've ever heard that were really, really fast are bari sax players. And it sounds really cool when bari sax goes fast. It just sounds normal when alto does it because it's a lot easier for them. I'm not dissing the alto players, by the way. Y'all alto, and especially you soprano players out there, I'm not dissing you. This sucks, but you don't. So I don't like alto very much. It might, now that I can play tenor kind of decently, alto might be my least favorite. So yeah. If I use proper posture, my head hits the roof. It's kind of funny. I'll slap it a little bit. Oh. I was just getting it. It's hot in here. Hello? My touchscreen didn't turn on for a second there, and I was a little worried.
What's going on at the Dr. Phillips Center on the 22nd?
Nope, I don't care about the Dr. Phillips Center. Dr. Phillips Center, kiss my butt. As far as I'm concerned. There now. It's beeping at me because I'm not buckled in. No, don't connect to my car. Butthead. Well, I guess we're listening it without the earbuds because now it's connected to my car. Great. No, don't.
Cancel your plans. Call your boss.
Oh my goodness, the stupid. It disconnected. That's copyrighted. That's a copyrighted song. Ooh, that was close. Don't be a jerk. Why are you like this? What are you doing? I do not understand. Why are you like this? I'm disconnecting from the car. Hang on. That's the Wi-Fi. There we go.
And across the country.
Stop it! It doesn't give me an option to like toggle back and forth. When I disconnect, it just automatically goes to the radio. This car's stupid sometimes. I love it though. And we're doing it with no earbud because I can't stand it anymore. Funny is I'm so close to my ceiling that I can't even really focus on it because it's close. It's too close. There we go. 100. I'm starting at 80 for all of these, by the way, because unlike the C scale where I can play it really quickly, I went over yesterday why these scales are difficult. They're all about this difficult. Once you get past E, there's no going back. E or A flat, once you get past there, it's all nonsense. That's not the right note anyway. There we go. Whole thing. can't because it's full volume now. See, this is why practicing, and this is why I have my earbuds in when I practice indoors, because I can't actually hear the metronome usually. And for context, it's sitting in the driver's seat and I can't hear it. So, not over the sax. I mean, I can, but like barely. Not enough. Enough. 104. Good. 108. It's still a bit muddy. I'm not gonna move on just yet because I can get better than that. I know I can. Just need a little finger break. Yes, your fingers can get tired, by the way. If you've ever been curious about that, your fingers can get tired. I know that a lot of people, they just would never ever know what it's like for their fingers to get tired. Like, it's weird it's weird thinking about it, because like, you just never use your fingers enough for them to be tired. Like, before this, the only thing I did that made my fingers hurt was video games. And even then, like, I played a lot of I've said it before, I play a lot of Super Nintendo JRPGs. None that would ever like make my fingers work like that though. And there's not a lot of repeated motions except for like mashing a button or something, but for the most part it's pretty light on your fingers. And I mean, I'm talking, the most I've ever had to do with my fingers in a video game was probably when I played Jedi Survivor. And now my hands never hurt. Like, the only time I think my fingers ever even got close was if y'all have played before, there's a, I don't know if it's called a super boss or if it's just like a regular boss, but it's a optional boss not far into the game, called Ogdo Bogdo, and it's kind of notorious for being incredibly difficult. And I I had to beat it just for the heck of it. And it took probably over 50 tries to get it. And after about 30 tries, my fingers would start hurting because I was doing a lot of fast motions with them. But that's probably the only time I've ever actually made my fingers tired outside of saxophone playing. I mean, I'm struggling to think of an occupation that would make your fingers tired. Like, your hands, fine. Like, I've gotten tired in my hand before. That's fine. That's fair. And your arms tired, obviously. Like, anyone that works out for any amount of time, your arms will get tired. In fact, you'll probably be sore for the first 3 or 4 days. I'm sore for a whole week because my body just can't handle it. But like, your actual, like, from here to here finger, I've made this tired before. Do you know how, like, weird it is to have this be tired? Like, it just, like, there's no amount of knuckle cracking you can do to make it feel better. It sucks. So, and after a while, I mean, I can only play so much. It's not even because of this anymore. It's because of these. These puppies right here just get worn out after a while. Yeah, I mean, obviously this hurts too, but usually this hurts before these ever even start. But if I can muscle through this, then this is usually where I stop. So, yeah. So, like, I have to take breaks, not just for my brain and not just for my embouchure, but actually for my fingers so they don't start hurting or start slowing down. Because you notice the longer I play, the muddier everything gets, and that's normal. That's why I said in I think an earlier video that just because you're messing up a lot at the end doesn't mean you got worse or doesn't mean you should stop practicing. It's actually a good sign of progress, especially if you can stay the same. If you end up getting faster by the end of the session, then you probably weren't going hard enough and you need to practice some more. But, like, practicing is like working out a little bit. I'm gonna turn this off again because I'm not quite done. Practicing is like working out in the sense that the harder you go, the faster you'll get, but only to a certain point because you can hurt yourself. It's never going to be as strenuous as working out. It might be strenuous mentally, but it's never going to hurt like working out does. The only exception might be your bottom lip. Your bottom lip will hurt like you would not believe during the first couple years of playing, and then after a while it slowly starts like lasting longer and longer. Like, when you first start playing, being sore after 10 minutes is completely normal. When you get as far as I do, I've gone nearly 8 hours, not straight, but like with very few breaks. I think I did it was my all county band. I was there for about 8 hours, and all I got were a couple of water breaks between songs, which I think we had 5, maybe 6. And then, and when I say between songs, I don't even know if we did all of them. I think we did most of them, but one of them was easy enough for us to not really have to worry about it. And then, after that, we got like, or not afterward, but like right in about in the middle, we got a dinner, or a lunch break. So I'm talking a combined total of about 45 minutes worth of break in 8 hours. So I did about 7 hours of playing, and I'm talking, it hurt, but only after about hour 5. And like that, you'll get to that point eventually. It's not a day one type of thing. Saxophonists on stage, I can play for hours effortlessly. That took a while. That's for any woodwind. I don't know about flutes. I don't play flute enough for me to actually know about that. If you're in the audience right now, let me know how that is. But clarinets, saxophones, double reeds, any woodwind except maybe flute, I don't know. They get that lip pressure. Though I would imagine flute would get pretty sore too, because they have to hold their lips in like a. You see all that tension right there? That's gonna hurt after a while. That's like a flexing. You can flex long enough to hurt yourself. And when I say you can't hurt yourself, I do. You can actually hurt yourself. For one, I don't know if you can see it. I know this is kind of close and personal. You see that little line on my lip right there? That's where my teeth hit my lip when I play. Ideally, everyone would have that, just a little bit though. Mine is prominent because I've been playing for so long, but if yours look like mine after only about a year, that is because you're biting too hard. And you can bite hard enough to cut your lip open, and then you just can't play. For a minute anyway. I don't know how long it lasts, but you just can't play because you bit through your lip. Then you play for too long, too fast, you'll hurt yourself technically, which means you won't be as good at the other end of it. You actually will probably go down in skill if you start too fast, which is why I warned against that several times. Which is why I'm starting at 80 now instead of 92 like I usually do. But if you practice too quickly, then you'll actually get worse, and you'll develop bad habits that are hard to get rid of. But you can also, if you play too fast as a new saxophone player, carpal tunnel. I didn't really factor carpal tunnel in when I started playing. I didn't even know that was real. By the way, if it looks like I'm looking down at the camera, it's because I have to look at the top of the iPad screen. Usually I'm looking down at y'all. I'm looking up at y'all today, so it's kind of fun. Kind of. But you can actually develop carpal tunnel while playing the saxophone. So do be careful. That's usually from bad posture, but it can happen if you play too fast too quickly. So take your time, learn what you need to learn, and then slowly but surely get faster at it. You're not going to be the world's greatest player in a year. All the saxophonists you've ever heard of have been playing for at least 10 years. Probably more like 15 or 20. So they probably had some funding, some backing from their parents or from their school or from, distant family or friends that gave them the money they needed to be able to have teachers that could teach them. That includes me. If you consider me a good saxophonist, I have a teacher. I'm paying a lot of money to go learn how to do music better. If you're looking for a way to be as good as the professionals, you can do it on your own. It will take longer, but you can do it on your own. I've seen plenty of people do it. I have a friend who I used to play with all the time. I've talked about it before in the community jazz band. He's wicked. He is so good at his instrument, but I think he's self-taught. But he can play like no other. He's amazing. He's self-taught. I don't know how long he's been playing for. I think he said like 20, 30 years now. So it's fairly common for saxophonists to take a long time if they're self-taught. It just, do what you need to do, but also don't go too fast. So if being slow frustrates you, practice multiple things. If you feel like you're not going fast enough, try a run that's faster every now and then. If you're working at 80 beats a minute, try a run at 92. And if you can get it perfectly 3 times, just go ahead and stay there. So start wherever you can comfortably play and then go up. You're not going to start comfortably like I am right now. You're not going to do that unless you're playing the saxophone right now. And for all of you, shout out. But when I was first learning scales, I forget how fast I started, but I think it was 60 beats a minute equals 60 beats a minute, and I did the 8th note. So the first scale I've learned was G, like I told y'all. And I'm talking, the speed I learned the scale was, actually, let's just set it to 60 for a second so y'all can get a visualization, I can't speak English, of what that would have been like. That was my first scale. Obviously it's a lot slower than what I'm doing now, but I've been playing scales for actually right at 6 years. So that's normal. You probably will start there. That's fine. Scales are important, but you're not going to be fast at them from the start. That's the point of them. Now, of course, maybe I need to start that slow. It's a little easier for me now. than it would be for you. But I've been doing it for years, so don't feel bad. Anyway, back to what we were doing, which is actually a half step below, which makes it significantly worse. Oh. Also, band kids, if you're wondering why your rehearsals take so long and why you feel like you're always not playing, it's possible that you just aren't playing because your band director doesn't actually need to work on you. But more likely, it's the case that he's giving you a break and you just hadn't figured it out yet. Don't feel bad. It took me a while too. But a lot of times, if you get cut out of a piece of like your rehearsal or something, it's likely because you've got it down and you don't need to practice, or you're the tuba player and you probably just don't need it anyway. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, tuba parts are so easy, you guys. I've seen a couple of difficult ones, but most of them are pretty easy. They're kind of built that way. It's no shade to tuba players, by the way. Some of the best players I know are tuba players, but like, just, they're not meant to be that difficult. They're meant to give the bass, and the bass is usually pretty, it's pretty slow or pretty technically easy. It's not going to be doing crazy runs most of the time. Now, that 1% of the time where y'all are doing crazy runs, man, y'all seem to enjoy that. But yeah, don't go into tuba expecting to play the melody. Just don't. It's not worth it. If you want to be a little show off, tuba's not the place for you. Unless you want to do marching band full time, and then honestly, some of those viral marching band clips are tuba players. For the most part, it's drums, but tubas kind of come in second place when it comes to stuff like that. I'll probably practice longer than an hour because I've been talking most of it, but either way. Squeak. And the easiest fingers to tire out are your pinkies because you never use them. There we go. Next. Smart water because I'm stupid and I need to be smarter. But the smart thing to do is if you buy anything other than smart water, because I don't like smart water. I don't know why I keep buying it. It's like 30 cents cheaper than Fiji, but I can afford to spend 30 more cents to get a better water. Why do I keep doing this to myself? It's terrible. I need to break this cycle. I'm abusing myself. You can self-abuse in more than one way. This is what I do. I'm not mentally challenged. I'm not in a bad mental place as far as I'm aware. I'm not in a bad mental place. I still self-abuse though. Smart Water, I will only glaze you if you sponsor me. If you sponsor me, I'm going to start calling you the best drink in the world. Otherwise, you're trash. Do better. It shouldn't taste like metal. It tastes like bad drinking fountain water. For you northerners, bubblers. Y'all are weird. I think it's northerners. I don't remember. Maybe Midwest. Y'all are weird too. Southerners are the only normal people on... Southerners are the normal... Southerners are the most normal people in the U.S. Deal with it. Okay. Florida man. Pinky's hurt. Why do my pinkies hurt? We're almost to 120, you guys. I don't want to quit now, but man, my pinkies hurt. It only gets worse. We only did one scale, and we're almost at an hour already. This is why I'm going to go on a little longer. I'm probably going to go on till minute 15, or an hour 15. Imagine only practicing for a minute and 15 seconds. That's enough time to warm up, maybe. I could play maybe 2 scaling thirds in a minute and 15. Like, I'd have to put the instrument in my mouth, play 2 of them, and put it back, and that's all the time I would get. No metronome, nothing. As soon as the saxophone's out the case, put it to your face. Now I'm curious. Or we're gonna have to time it. They're not even gonna be good. I just want to see what happens. Stopwatch. I'm not gonna show it to the camera, but y'all are gonna see it. So. Okay, that was 30 seconds, but 26:74 was the time it took to play those 2. So I guess I could play it 2 more times, maybe 3. If I play it faster, a little faster is what I was going for. But yeah, so yeah, a minute 15 is nothing. Back to the practice, because I wanted to have a little fun there for a second. Currently I'm fighting the urge not turn my radio back on because it's currently playing Under Pressure by Queen. So we're probably in that last bit. But either way, I don't know how long it's been playing. I think it's about to change anyway. Anyway, got like hangnails all over my fingers from the amount of times I shoved my hands into cardboard boxes. Terrible. Why was that one good? Saxophone's funny, you guys. Saxophone's a fickle beast. It's like a woman. You gotta treat it nice and carefully. You gotta love it. I won't go any further with that joke. But, you know. 120. See, unlike tenor, I actually have a whole box of reeds for alto. What I was discussing earlier, what you're supposed to do with your reeds, you're supposed to rotate them. And I'm currently on reed number 2 because it's my favorite one. But theoretically, you would start on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you would play each one, and then you would only use your favorites for like performances or something. Or like when you get to them in a sequence. My issue is I only like 4 of the reeds in that 10 box. Oh my goodness, I need to rant about that for a second too. So you remember the other day when I was telling you about how much Barry reeds cost and how much tenor reeds cost? Well, it gets worse. I forgot to mention that not all of the reeds in the box are good. Actually, of all of the reeds in the box, only 40% of them are good. So for a box of alto reeds, that's like 4, which is plenty. And you're probably going to get a decent amount of mileage out of 4 reeds. But in a box of 5, only 2 tenor reeds are good. And like I've said before, there is no such thing as a good Barry reed. So, like, you're paying the same amount of money for half the reeds, or you're paying twice as much money for half the reeds, only for like a couple of them to be good. Never mind the fact that the fact that so few of them are already good out the box. Like it, guys, it's terrible. Saxophone is an awful instrument. The same problem with clarinet, and I think double reeds also have the same problem, but usually they actually make their own reeds, so they usually can make them pretty good. The only way to really fix that problem that I've been able to do is my mom got this for me for Christmas. It is, or for my birthday. It is called, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Okay, y'all can only see it over here because the sun is shining, but I'm gonna do it like this. This is the Geeklet. It is a it's essentially what it is it's a tiny little blade on the side of this. It's not sharp enough to cut your finger, but it is a blade that you use to like you use it to shave your reed. Like it is sharp enough to do to shave a couple things. Like actually, I had a pointy nail one day, and out of curiosity, I took it and I shaved the nail down. I wonder if I can get it. Oh, goodness gracious, stupid sun is in the way. I don't even know how to block it. I wonder if I can. That didn't work at all. Can I do it with this one? That's not gonna work. Nope, it's not gonna, nope. Okay, well, actually, if I do it, oh yeah, I can do it from back here. Y'all probably won't be able to see it, but I can actually shave off little bits of my fingernail with it. So, yeah, it is just sharp enough to shave small or like weak, brittle objects like your fingernail or like wood, but it's not sharp enough to actually cut you. Like if I take it and I just go, nothing will happen. That was not my middle finger, by the way. It's just my pointer finger. But yeah, that is that's the whole point of it. When you use it to they call it adjusting your reeds. What you do, actually, why don't I just process it? I think my 10th reed is actually my worst one, which is really funny. But I'll just demonstrate on it because I really hope I never have to use it. But you take your reed, and the first thing you do is you sand down, it's called the table, it's just the back of the reed. You very gently scrape it over the top, like so, or the bottom, I guess, really. You scrape it like so, flip it around, you scrape the other side. You're really supposed to do this all in one go, but it's really hard to do that, so I'm just gonna, theoretically, you would grab it like here and then just, and you do that like 10, 15-ish times until it's nice and smooth. And the way you know it's smooth is you can set it down on a surface and you won't be able to see through it. Sometimes it's not real smooth and you can actually see under the reed. But really, if you really want to test that, you can shine a line under it. And if it's perfectly flat, then the light will not escape through it. Then you can, there's like, I don't actually remember how to do it. I wonder if I can draw it though, on the reed. Do I have a pencil? I think I do somewhere in this car. I just don't remember where. That's a tire gauge. Here we go. So you can take your reed, and there's this thing on it called the table, or the, I don't remember what it's called, but essentially it's that right there. It's a little triangle shaped thing, and you would shave down the sides from this line in order to make it more even. Now, I don't think what I got here is actually what it's supposed to look like, but it looks something like that. And theoretically, once you've done both of those things, you get a better reed out of it. You get one that plays a little bit better. If you want to have a little more fun with it, you can also shave this down to kind of make the reed softer. But otherwise, that's all you really can do. And if the reed is just bad, you're not gonna make it good, but you can make a good reed way, way better doing this. I did this to all my reeds. Currently 4 is my best one, but I'm using 2 because I wanted to start on a good feet, but not the best one. Just so, you know, whatever. And you can play with the pencil on there. It's not gonna hurt you or nothing to do that. If you don't want to do that, you can actually erase it off of there like you would paper. So do with that information what you will. I'm just gonna leave it on there, honestly. It's not worth erasing right this second. But yeah, it's called a geeklet. But if you don't have something like that, I've tried a knife before. It works well enough. Obviously there's the associated dangers with a knife, but the only issue is a lot of knives are curved, and if they're curved, then you won't get the same effect out of it. They have to be straight, or you'll mess up your reed more than you'll actually help it. Even the slightest amount of curve will mess up your reed. So make sure you get a perfectly straight knife when you do it. Usually a pocket knife. They have reed knives, but just any pocket knife will do. It's not recommended, like I said. And then you can also sand the bottom of the reed to make it that much more flat, with a very fine grit sandpaper, and that's how you adjust reeds. It's very simple, which is why we do it, is because we can make 4 good reeds transform into about 7 good reeds. You're still gonna have 3 that suck, but the rest of them will be okay, if not flat out fantastic. This one is one of my more fantastic reeds. I think it's like a 9 out of 10. I have a 10 out of 10 reed in here, but this is like a 9 out of 10. It could respond a little better in some areas, but it's actually not too bad. some reeds do better with Altissimo. I think there's a way to adjust it to make it easier to play Altissimo, but for the most part, all reeds pretty much play the same. I use Van Doren reeds. I probably should mention that. I use Van Doren reeds just because it's what my professor expects of me, and it's what I'm used to at this point. Not even just because of my professor, but that's because that's just what I played. I know D'Addario makes cane reeds, and I've played them before, and they're actually pretty good. I use D'Addario reserves on soprano, but I also use the clarinet reeds on soprano, so I mean, I'm a little bit weird in that respect. But it is, I mean, they make decent reeds, and actually they're known for consistency, but their quality is usually just a little bit lower than the best reed you'll get out of a Van Doren box. That's not to say that they're not good. They're also cheaper, which is notable. Not much cheaper. They're like, if a box of Van Doren reeds is $35, then a box of D'Addario reeds is like $28. They're not, you know, like cheap, but they're not, you know, as bad as Van Doren reeds will cost you. But you probably won't get as good a reed out of them as you will a Van Doren reed. But if you're looking for better consistency, they tend to have it. Every box, or every reed I played out of that box of soprano or clarinet reeds, most of them work pretty much the same. So they were all, you know, about 6, 7, maybe 8 out of 10 reeds. But I mean, that's pretty good, honestly. You can barely hope for better than a 7 out of 10 reed to play well. And of course, use your best reed for performances, but rotate them. That way they all stay pretty much good. If you rotate them, they'll all last longer on their own as well as collectively. So it gives them time to dry out, which is why you rotate them. You're supposed to rotate them with every hour of play. I don't do that unless I absolutely have to. I've had reeds before that just soaked through and you couldn't play through them because I generate a lot of spit. Fun fact about me. But you're supposed to rotate them every hour. Now, obviously, I'm not going to rotate it right this second, even though I've technically been going for an hour. That's because I've been talking for about 20 minutes of it. And I want to do some more playing. But that's theoretically what you would do when playing, when rotating reeds. Also, you can grow mold in your reeds. Once they grow mold, you can clean the mold out. I have done it before. I wouldn't recommend it. And that's because if you don't rinse it well enough, or if you don't clean it well enough, there'll still be mold in it. But if you don't rinse well enough, you have to use soap, and you'll get soap in your reed. And soap doesn't hurt the reed, but if you swallow it, it hurts you. So I wouldn't recommend it. And you might have noticed every now and then I'll just through the mouthpiece, and that is because I need to get the spit out of the mouthpiece. And with the spit would come soap or mold, depending on what you have in there. Actually, fun fact, another great fun fact. I know y'all are jazzed about the fun facts. They have a disease. They have like a special name for it's infection caused by playing the saxophone and breathing in mold. It's called saxophone lung. I think they have lung for every instrument, but the most famous is saxophone lung, because we're known for doing it more than most instruments. Because clarinet doesn't have much. I mean, they have the same problem, but it's less so because their instrument's pointed down. But saxophones, most of them are pointed like that. Soprano sax would be pointed down like this, but alto's pointed like this. Tenor's got that weird hump in it. Y'all saw that. And then bary's even worse, because like it goes down and then it comes back up and then it goes down. So bary sax actually has a spit valve, which is really funny. But yeah, saxophone lung is a real disease you can catch, and it is fatal in some cases. Highly would not recommend. It's essentially just an infection in your lungs. So clean your instrument, ladies and gentlemen. I'll show you how to do that today, because I actually have a swab for this one. But don't let your reeds get moldy. Don't soak them through. Rotate them regularly, and adjust them if you can. Don't use a knife to adjust the sides of the reed like I showed you. Just do the back, flatten it out. That'll make a world of difference on its own. I don't even know how to do the sides. I just showed you all that because I know you can do it. I just haven't. because I don't know how to. A couple more reps of the 120, and then we'll go to the scale and thirds. Of course, it's the perfect run. That's really funny. It's after a 20-minute ramble session about reeds. That's funny. Alright, scale and thirds. Y'all know the drill. The worst scale ever invented in human history, besides maybe the bebop skills. I've played a couple of them. They're just awkward. They're so awkward to play. I don't really like bebop that much. I like it a little bit. In some cases, it's a bit much, but you know, older bebop is nice. For those of y'all that don't know, bebop is kind of what most people associate to be jazz. It's, you know, it's fine. I don't mind it. It just sometimes it's excessive. So. That's what discipline is, ladies and gentlemen. Slow it down. Slow it down. It's terrible and it's annoying and it really sucks and it kills all the moods of the practice sessions around the world. Slow it down. You'll thank yourself later. I know you might not want to practice later because you slowed down the last one. By the way, that fisherman is still in the pavilion. He's dedicated. I actually haven't seen him go down to the lake yet. He might be preparing for a party or something. Honestly, shout out. See, that's what slowing it down does. It shows you what you're doing wrong. The first one I'll point out, it was the first one I did. It was. That transition, that's kind of a rough transition for saxophonists because you have to coordinate both the inside of your finger there and this finger to move at the same time, and that can be kind of hard. But the next one I did, you might have noticed immediately afterward, was that one. And that's because I wasn't releasing these two fast enough and then pushing this down. So theoretically, and then I did that one, and the last run, that's just me not hitting this button in time. Y'all seen that before. I've ranted about that exact motion right there dozens of times. The reason it was so effortless for me there is, one, because I'm going really slowly, and two, because I'm playing on alto, and alto is easier than tenor for me. I've played it my entire career. It's the only saxophone I've played for all 7 years. Partially because everybody starts on alto, and partially because alto is the most common saxophone out there, and somehow it's not even close. Actually, fun fact, this is almost common sense to those who know how instruments work, but alto sax has almost double the repertoire of every other saxophone combined. that's like an exaggeration, but it's almost true. And the reason for that is because saxophone shares a really good range for soloists, solo instruments. So like it shares pretty much the exact same range as a clarinet, except it can go 1/2 step lower than a clarinet. And if y'all have ever listened to any clarinet solos, you know that those are fantastic. And saxophones can do them pretty much, I mean, not perfectly, but they can do them pretty, you know, as far as instruments go, it can do it pretty easily. It also shares most of its upper range with the other woodwinds. Oboe goes down to a C. So oboe's first or last note would be, or no, it goes to B flat. Oboe goes to B flat, so it would sound like a G on saxophone, which is here. And it, I want to say it ends. Most books stop at like G, which would be. Oboe has like the shortest range of all woodwinds, by the way. So not only is that within the saxophone's range, and we can play it pretty easily, but it also means you can just as easily play it as written and just get it in a different key. So like I said before, that first note was a B flat. B flat happens to be the lowest note on a saxophone as well, unless you're playing Barry, and then sometimes it's A. But for the most part, it's B flat. Then, if the highest note is G, and it can go past that, but it's not recommended, G's on saxophone too. And when it goes past that, I usually mean like up to C. Or on a, oh, but I can't play them. But yeah, it would be a C. So it'd be, oh, up an octave. I can't really do that because one, it would sound bad, and two, because y'all are right there, and I don't want to hurt your ears. You have more than they've already been hurt. But that's why alto saxophone works so well, is because not only is it similar in range to oboe and clarinet, but can also play pretty much the exact same as both of them, regardless of whether or not you transpose. If you don't transpose for clarinet, clarinet can go down to their written E, and saxophones can go nowhere close to that. But you can, but because it transposes so well, we usually share ranges for stuff. It goes about a half a step higher than we do. We go to about a half a step lower than they do without going into altissimo. Into altissimo, you can go as high as you want. So, the other instrument it shares pretty good range with is trumpet. Trumpet can go down to, I want to say an F. Concert F. It can go down to it can go down to F, but it can go down to a concert F pretty comfortably. Maybe a concert E. Concert E would be, let me think. Concert E would be an F sharp, which would be, that's the lowest note a trumpet usually can play without going into false tones and such. It can go lower than that, of course, but it is with false tones. But without false tones, that's like the end of the trumpet's range. And trumpets, before the range starts getting a little bit excessive, can go up to a C, about 2.5 octaves above that. I can't do that because I suck, but it would be slightly past. But it would be like 2 F steps up from that is where trumpet range usually stops. It definitely can go higher than that because the way trumpets work, it goes much higher than that. But usually a standard range for trumpet is that low F sharp to a high C. You're going to get that tested on, if you're a high schooler, the All-State auditions test you on that range right there, at least in Florida. And that's pretty much the range that's expected of you for any amateur trumpet player. Professionals can go higher than that, but even like college kids take some time to get past that. So it's perfectly fine if you're not there yet. But that's usually the range of a decent amateur trumpet player. Saxophonists have about the same range. They can go lower, but trumpets go higher. So it's a nice vocal range in there, and trumpets probably have some of my favorite solo work of all time. They are fantastic instruments for solos because they're in that nice little comfortable range. Now, where am I going with this? All of those instruments fall within one voice type. And, you know, when you're talking about voice types, you have a handful of them. You have your basic ones. You have soprano, alto, tenor, bass. In 4-part harmony, those are your 4 voices. All of those instruments fall roughly into the category between alto and soprano called mezzo-soprano. And mezzo-soprano is where you find a lot of solo work. Now, sometimes they just call it soprano, but a lot of times it is for soprano or mezzo-soprano. There are a lot of works written specifically for soprano, but where it just sounds the most pleasurable to me, at the very least, is in that mezzo-soprano range. It goes really high, but also dips pretty decently into the alto range and even into the tenor, or in some cases, the bass range. Tenor sax kind of also falls into this, but not quite as much. Alto sax, trumpet, and clarinet all fall in that range, roughly. So that's where you see most of the solo work happening. It's for those kinds of instruments, at least when it comes to wind instruments. You also get flute, you get violin, have a lot of solos. Soprano sax, might be tied with tenor for the second most, but if it has either more or less, it would probably be more because of how high it is. And stuff like that would have decent amount of solos too, because they're the soprano voices. And then alto sax and clarinet and trumpet would either be considered mezzo-soprano or alto voices, which also get pretty decent amount of solo work. But to our human ears, that is like, for whatever reason, that's the range we like. It is the most common range to play in when you're doing or composing when you're doing solo work. For some reason, we don't really know why. So alto sax gets the favorable treatment in that everyone starts on alto because it's the easiest place to start. There's the most repertoire for it, and it's also in that nice place where the embouchure is still going to be kind of difficult but not terrible, and then your dexterity is going to be pretty simple. For whatever reason, we like alto sax. I don't really know the whole science and nonsense behind it, but we really like alto sax, and as a result, it is the most common instrument by far in the saxophone family to get repertoire. Like I said earlier, soprano's pretty up there. Tenor's pretty up there. Where it falls off dramatically is bari sax. Anything above soprano or below tenor, you're not going to find very much of it. You'll find some here and there, but a lot of times it's just other instruments adapted into bari sax. Also, that's another good point. A lot of alto work, the alto sax didn't come until almost the end of the Romantic era of classical music. So that's like that's your Shostakovich, your Tchaikovskys, all of those kind of artists. I think Tchaikovsky is Romantic. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong about that. But that's kind of that era of music where it was past the Mozarts and Bachs and even the Beethovens. It was now we're in the really long Russian sounding names, but it came right at the end of that period. I think 1860 something was when it came out. 1866 is sounding right. So it was very late into classical music as far as we're concerned. So we don't actually have any pieces by Mozart or by Beethoven or by Bach. We have a few pieces from like Shostakovich. I think Tchaikovsky wrote a couple pieces for saxophone, maybe. But when the saxophone first came out, I'm sorry to be rambling like this, by the way. I'm going to practice for like maybe 10 more minutes after this and then go home. But y'all are getting a little bit of history lesson today. This might be my longest video. History and, I guess, science. When the saxophone first came out, what it essentially was a clarinet and this brass instrument called an ophicleide. The reason you don't know what an ophicleide is because they were terrible, but that it was those two instruments essentially smashed together. They put a bass clarinet mouthpiece on an ophicleide, and then he nailed down the details. Adolf Sax, that was his name, nailed down the details until eventually he got something that looked a lot like this. And okay, good. I thought I'd chip my reed for a second there. But he nailed down the details until he got something that looked like this. And the reason that we don't have very many works of that era is also because the Belgian and French clarinet manufacturers at the time like blackmailed orchestras and other kinds of bands, and even just like instrument stores, that if they sold or used the alto saxophone the saxophone in any way, shape, or form, that they would no longer lend clarinets or their players to those events or those stores. So no one would write music for saxophone. A couple people did. Ravel did. Berlioz did. A couple of people did. There were a lot of supporters for saxophone, but they were far outweighed by the haters, as it were. So eventually saxophone found its way over to the US around the World War I era. And this is kind of, actually it was a little bit before. It was like 1890s when it first made its way over here. And by the time World War I picked up, it had made its mark in America. Due to military bands and the new genre called jazz. It was very popular during World War I in that era, where big bands were starting to become a thing and military bands were most certainly a thing because, yeah, there was a war. And that's kind of where it started. It was a military horn or like a jazz horn. And then eventually it made its way 30s, 40s, 50s. There was an era of music where saxophone was associated with dirty and like inappropriate music because it was often used in dirty and inappropriate music. And so saxophone was the devil for a long time, and it was it still is sometimes considered just like a dirty, like unrefined, not very beautiful instrument, which is why it's still not in the orchestra, if you've ever been curious. So it is very interesting, but we did not get a lot of classical music until this last century, and we're still getting music now. But the 20th century is where saxophone got like a vast majority of the music. Most of the music did not come from the 19th century. So that is a tiny little dirt bike. Oh my goodness, that's cute. It's a guy driving like a mini dirt bike. Y'all can't see it because I'm not pointing over there. Oh, that's fantastic. That's so funny. I probably just didn't see him because he's actually shorter than all the stuff. Oh, there he is. He's almost shorter than all the stuff in my car. That's how small that dirt bike is. I'm distracted. But that's why saxophone is kind of the way it is. We don't have any classical music. You're not gonna find it in well, we do, but it's, you know, I won't say sparse, but it's not exactly plentiful. That's why it's not in orchestras or generally things of the sort. It's now more and more coming into orchestras. Japan actually has a lot of pieces for saxophone and orchestra or concert band. Usually the concert band is kind of a cop-out for orchestra if we don't want to put it in the orchestra, but usually it's a soloist in an orchestra, or it takes the place of like a clarinet or something like that. But up until recently, that was not the case. I mentioned Ravel a minute ago. He made Bolero. It's a 15-minute piece where the same two melodies repeat twice over and over and over again, played by each instrument in an orchestra until the finale. It's 15 minutes long. And I think at around the 7th, maybe the 9th repetition, you get the soprano saxophone and the tenor saxophone, I think reverse order, back to back. And that was one of the first few pieces to actually have saxophone in the orchestra. At least one of the first modern pieces, modern and famous pieces to have the saxophone in the orchestra. Not one, but two, which is very unheard of. Another reason saxophone's not in the orchestra, yes, I could rant about this for days, by the way. I did a whole paper on this, is also because it is weirdly keyed. So, like, it is common for orchestral players to have instruments in the key of C, because most of the instruments in an orchestra are in the key of C. Your percussion's in the key of C, all the strings are in the key of C, flutes are in the key of C, and even tubas have a reed in C. So it's common, at least mostly, to have a C instrument in your orchestra. And so they even tried to make a C saxophone. They have a couple they made. They made a C soprano, which is just a bit shorter than an actual soprano sax and plays in C. And then they made a C melody saxophone that kind of looks like a tenor and plays a little bit higher than a tenor. The problem with both of those is because of, you know, things and reasons, of course. Both of them were terrible, and now they don't make C melody saxophones or C sopranos anymore. They died really quickly, especially when the Great Depression hit. So, yeah, not fun. Then they've also made F-keyed instruments, which is like the next best thing. If you don't have C pitch, you can do F pitch. So at least then it's only a fourth away, or a fifth, depending on which direction you go. French horns are keyed in F. So it only makes sense to have instruments keyed in C or F, just to kind of match the French horns, because they also have a pretty similar range to French horn, or at least play a lot of French horn parts because the sound is the same, roughly. So they tried that. There is a mezzo soprano saxophone, fun fact, in the key of F, and that one is also terrible from what I've heard, but less terrible. The issue is those are even rarer because that was an idea they had like right before the Great Depression. Like at least C melodies and C sopranos were like early 20s. The F mezzo soprano sax was invented in like 27, and the Great Depression hit almost immediately afterward. And they also have Conn, which is a brand, made the Conn sax, which was like slightly longer than a soprano. It was like slightly shorter than an alto, but it was straight like a soprano. And that was also in the key of F. The mezzo soprano would be a whole step above the alto saxophone in the key of F. So, yeah. And they've tried over and over again to make C-pitch saxophones, but they never quite work out. So now the standard is E-flat pitch, which is what I have here. This is an E-flat pitched alto saxophone. Baritone saxophone is also pitched in E-flat, and they have B-flat pitch instruments like soprano and tenor saxophone. If you go past that, soprano saxophone is in E-flat, and soprillo saxophone is in B-flat. And if you go the other way, bass saxophone is in B-flat, contra is in E-flat, and subcontra is in B-flat. Subcontra bass saxophone is the full, but I'm not going to say the whole thing. I think I've seen a C bass somewhere. Also not very common. I think those are a newer invention though, just because we're trying new things. Again, online there's a video floating around of better sax with a G mezzo soprano saxophone. So instead of being one whole step above the alto, it would be two. That's a cool idea. I like that. But it wouldn't be very practical. I wouldn't think it'd be able to play alto flute parts, but that's pretty much it. There's a family of instruments for every major instrument. Like brass isn't just a family; it's also got families within the family. You have trumpet, bass trumpet, contrabass trumpet, piccolo trumpet. You have all these trumpets. Clarinet, bass clarinet, alto clarinet, contralto clarinet, contrabass clarinet, E-flat clarinet, regular B-flat clarinet. Flute, piccolo, alto flute, bass flute, they go farther. Just every instrument has a family in and of itself, but saxophone is the one everyone kind of knows about. because we play more than 2. Yeah, that's a I would say a brief history lesson, but it was not brief. We are an hour 30 minutes into this video, and I've only got 1 scale done, and we are not even close to even starting the second one. I feel like I should call it, especially because I need to go to bed in an hour, and I don't know. I probably should call it. Let's get this up to 80, and then I'll pick up tomorrow with it. Yeah, let's do that. 80. It's at 60 right now, by the way. And then we're moving on because it's taking way too long, and I've given about 47 fun facts in the history lesson. Practiced 1 scale today. I have a lot of information about the saxophone. That's kind of what y'all probably figured out by video number 13. So yeah, I could go into a rant about all of the facets of saxophone and music generally, but I'm not going to do all of them. I'll guarantee you that. I won't go into everything I know, because everything I know is way too much. But y'all have gotten about 20-30% of what I actually know so far in the last 13 videos. Would have been perfect, except I missed up the ending. Yeah, so I rant when I'm not sleepy. I actually slept well last night, so I could probably stay up another 4 hours until I get sleepy. Like I'm just now starting to have heavy eyes, and I've been up since 6 o'clock yesterday, PM, but not AM. But that's still 15 hours. So yeah, that's normal. Good enough? 68. Good. It's getting hotter in here, even with the air conditioner on. Turn it up. Good enough? 72. Saxophone. I can talk with a reed in my mouth. This is a skill you must develop as a reed player. Because a lot of times that someone was trying to talk to you while you're soaking a reed. And some people just put them in a water cup. Double reed players have to put them in a water cup, but single reed players can just stick them in their mouth. And a lot of times we don't have anywhere to put a cup in our case, so we learn how to talk with it in our mouth. You kind of just sound like you're doing a weird Mike Tyson impression, a little bit. Not really. You just kind of sound like a toddler, like a 5-year-old. This is what someone that watches their iPad all day sounds like. Yeah, this is what Gen Alpha sounds like right now. So it's kind of scary. Gen Alpha is in middle school right now. Don't worry, we all feel old. So, yeah, all you millennials in my audience, just wait, because the older generation's gonna be us in a few years. Oh, it's disgusting. I watched a video the other day about a kid talking about, it was shout out Blackbird Coop. It's a black guy that does he farms chickens, and he owns his own business that sells chicken to all the states in the year. I think he's in the Northeast. He's in I want to say the Pennsylvania area. I don't really know, but he's up there, and he sells chicken up there. Well, he has I guess a TikTok account, but he does shorts as well that he posts like chicken tutorials and like debunking like health fads and such that are, you know, worthless, or like scare posts about supplements. And that's his channel shtick, I guess. But he came across a video the other day talking about, he made a post about a video about a kid talking about the older generation doesn't know what it's like to live in such a hard a time as this one, or to even live in a time like this one, because they didn't have technology. And it took me a good minute to realize that millennials are the next generation, and millennials are in their 30s now. But then I realized that I'm gonna be the next generation at some point. I really, if you think about it, I'm already the next generation. I'm a legal adult. I'm going to college. I have a job. I have a car. Even though my dad's paying for it, I plan to change that soon. Like, I'm technically the next generation now, and I've done a lot of thinking about that. Not really, but I've done a decent amount of thinking about that. And what will they say about me? I wonder what hardships Gen Alpha will have to throw at me that they have that I don't. And they didn't get enough V-Bucks. That their mom didn't let them stare at their iPad or not. I don't know. Like, I could punch down all I want, but I actually don't know what the problem would be. So, like, I don't actually know what Gen Alpha suffers from other than a glaring lack of literacy and addiction to screen time at the age of 4. Like, that's and even earlier than that. Like, I hate to rant about another thing at the end of this almost 2-hour video, but like, guys, do y'all know how bad Gen Alpha's suffering right now? Like, do you know the problems Gen Alpha's having? They're not, I guess they're not suffering. They're having a great time. That's the problem. Like, it sounds terrible to put it like that, but currently, I mean, Gen Alpha's in middle school right now, but those are all the kids that, like, your friends and their friends' parents set them on iPads all day. Those are those kids. They're in middle school now. They might even be in high school by now. I don't know. I don't keep track of time anymore. But, like, Gen Alpha, they're currently, like, at least 5. Something like that. I don't remember when Gen Alpha actually starts. I think it's, I think they end in 2025. So we're actually in Gen Beta now, with these newborns. But Gen Alpha is, like, they're all able to speak now, pretty much. But you've probably seen headlines before. There's a glaring amount of illiteracy in Gen Alpha. Their attention spans are lower than every other generation in front of them. A decent amount, I won't say the majority, but a decent amount of them are flat out addicted to screen time, and a decent portion of them are addicted to social media and sites like YouTube, which I don't actually consider social media, but it's pretty close. Like, I personally, and this is, at least in my generation, a rather uncommon thing actually, but I actually got my first real phone right in the middle of my 7th grade year. So I was about 13 years old. Actually, no, I was still 12. But it was Christmas in the middle of my 7th grade year, and that's when I got my first phone. And I'm talking, I was amazed to have that thing. But it seems like kids are getting their phone pretty much as soon as they can read, which is kind of a problem because now they can't read anymore. So they're getting their phones before they can read, and it's not helping them because their attention spans are weak, and as a result, it makes it really hard for them to learn how to read. As someone who jokes about having been cured from autism, I actually do still have it. It doesn't affect me very much though. It is, I know that when I was younger, something I struggled with was reading. And it's because reading is boring if you, like, don't have a will to learn. Like, no child does when they're 5, never mind 4. But that is made worse by the fact that their attention spans are decreasing. If you are this far into the video, which I doubt many of you are, congratulations. You're either doing your dishes or you've actually watched an hour and 40 minutes. Not many Gen Alpha kids would ever make it past the intro where I talk about what I'm going to do in my video. That's kind of the problem we're at right now. No one has, or at least not many Gen Alpha actually have the attention span they should. And as a result, they can't read, or they struggle with reading, or they struggle with basic arithmetic, which is like math. They struggle with like just basic concepts, but they talk in ways that really we didn't talk in, because they're actually talking faster than us. They're talking in more developed ways faster than us. So their brain is working twice as hard just for them to speak, and it doesn't have any room for them to read. Like, if you really think about what a child is saying when they're saying all those like cringy Gen Alpha buzzwords, they've developed their own language, and they're having to learn all of those words on top of the words they'd already be learning in their elementary school English class. Do you see where I'm going with this? Gen Alphas, I won't say they're screwed. They're not far from it, especially now with AI. Y'all might have seen my post technically yesterday about how I'm now officially off Instagram. I'm not going to delete my account yet. I plan on doing it once I go back to college. And that is because that's almost 30 days away. And because I simply do not support most uses of AI. I say most because there are some instances in which AI is useful and should be used. But at any point where AI replaces a human, that could most certainly, oh my goodness, it's a spider on my windshield, or on my window mirror. At any point where an AI replaces a human that could have done the job perfectly and as a result suffers, I am no longer in the support of it. Now, when it's like automating things that makes everyone's life easier and really doesn't hurt anyone at the end of the day, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I think they're using AI to help doctors now, like with like helping them like know when patients are struggling or like when something's going wrong. And that's great. I think that's perfect. Like anything in the medical field or anything in fields like that, that's totally fine. But where I see it as wrong, especially, is anything that has to do with art, or anything that has to do with like music, or anything that pretty much only a human could do. When, especially on like sites like YouTube, or on sites, or any social media, or any art related thing. Oh goodness, it's on the door. I didn't do that. Gotta be careful. I don't know what spider that is. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. By the way, I can't go on any longer for y'all. But I hate spiders. I lost my train of thought. I'm a Gen Alpha kid. I'm not, I'm Gen Z, but either way. Yeah, I'm ending the video there. There's a whole list of reasons why Gen Alpha is probably going to be worse off than us. Gen Z, by the way. But, I can't go into them. I don't know anything behind it. I'm just a silly musician that posts videos to YouTube. And now, oh yeah, I was talking about AI. Yeah, so I'm not going to be on Instagram anymore. Those of you who came here from Instagram, that's a very small number of you and my already small number of people. But thank you. If you came here from Facebook, because I know I've posted my account on there a couple times. If you just now heard that I had an Instagram, don't worry, there's nothing new there. I just posted a couple silly little posts here and there. Nothing really, crazy. You're not gonna find anything new on there. I've made my stance pretty clear on AI on there. Anything that has to do with replacing humans in any way that would hurt a human, or being used to surveil us or stealing our info, it's wrong. It's just wrong. I don't hate everything AI, but I hate most of it. And that's because of the way we've been using it. It's not really for me. I'm just tired of AI being everything now. And this is the reason I'm off Instagram now is because, I guess I didn't mention this. The reason I'm off is because they just announced that they're gonna they allow other users to take your post and shove it into an AI and repost it. And reposts are already a problem, by the way. So if you can get past an originality filter using AI, we're done. We're cooked. You're not gonna, and I don't even think Instagram makes you put that it's AI in your description. So, you would probably be able to figure it out, but it's a lot harder now to filter reposts as a result. So I am now completely, or almost completely, off of Instagram, and y'all probably will never see me there again unless I have a really good reason to be there. For the same reason, I probably will get off of Facebook, but because I have not heard the same news for them yet, I'll be hesitant, especially because I've been on Facebook for almost 4 years now, and I think there's photos and videos on Facebook that I just don't have anymore, and would be kind of distraught if I lost. I'm a bit of a hoarder, so I don't like losing anything. I'm not always a hoarder, but I generally just dislike the idea of losing something, so but there's nothing on Instagram that matters to me, so I'm getting rid of it. I'm not going to delete my account yet. Y'all have a couple days to admire my creativity and my comedy for a moment, and then I'm going to delete it probably at the start of the school year, because that's a little less than 30 days away, and I was going to delete it in a month. So yeah, that is my stance on AI. I hate the way it's being used, and as a result will not support it until it's being used in a way that will actually improve things generally. Anything AI art or music or any such thing is nasty and disgusting and should be treated as such. It should be treated as slop, because it is slop. For all the teeny tiny little 0.01% of y'all that support AI, which is really funny because I only have 40 audience members consistently. For all of you that actually support AI in this case, it would be kind of not a good idea for me, a tiny little creator, to go ahead and tell people to shove off. but shove off. I hate AI. Y'all are just gonna have to deal with that. So that's kind of a second reason why I'm posting these videos, or really like a distant 47th reason. It's because y'all can't claim AI or anything like that if it's a completely unedited video, or if it's slightly edited just to cut out a part where I'm like not trying to film strangers in public. And when I do occasionally film strangers in public, they just happen to be in the background. That's pretty much it. So that is my stance on AI, that is my stance on Gen Alpha, and that is the F-sharp major scale. Some of it in thirds, some of it, most of it not in thirds. So I just decided, let's just go ahead and start packing up while I'm ranting, because otherwise this is going to take me a while, and there's still currently a spider on my door. So I don't know what I'm going to kill it with yet, but I'll find something in a second. Thank y'all for joining me on this fine Saturday morning. 7-Eleven. I wonder if 7-Eleven's doing any deals. You should probably check if you live near a 7-Eleven. I don't. The nicest gas station I live next or close to is a Racetrack. It's the closest one. I have a lot of Circle K's in the area, but a lot of them are kind of trashy because I live in the middle of nowhere. And then I also live near a Wawa, but that's almost 30 minutes away from my house. And at that point, I would be saving just to not go. The Racetrack at least has Monsters 4 for $8. The Wawa really offers nothing to me other than a decent gas station experience and okay food. When I say it's okay, I don't mean like it sucks. I just mean that it's about the same quality as like low-tier fast food, which is kind of impressive for a gas station. So for gas station food, it's actually fantastic. I've had their chicken sandwich before. It's like a really good McDonald's McCrispy. Like that's pretty much the best I can give it. Which for a gas station, like I've said, is absolutely fantastic. If they could improve on it in any way, it would outpace a lot of fast food. Possible exception like Zaxby's, but for the most part, it outpaced pretty much all the fast food. But I just don't go very often because I don't live close to one, or not close enough to actually use it. So yeah, speaking of which, I probably need to go shopping today, so it's probably a good thing I'm ending here. If I don't go shopping today, I'm gonna go tomorrow probably, or whenever I go working out with Clay again. Also, I know I haven't been practicing daily, and I've actually decided to change my policy on that. Not because I haven't been practicing daily, but because it honestly just makes me feel a little bit less guilt when I don't do it. And I don't mean that in like I don't want to feel guilty sense. I actually like have a pretty decent reason to do what I'm about to do. So I want to practice every day, because I probably should practice every day, you know, as an almost professional musician at this point. But for practical reasons, probably shouldn't. On days where I work out with Clay, I'm not going to practice. And that is because if I go to work out with Clay and practice, it'll be nearly 11 o'clock before I get to go to bed. And even on a day where I don't have church or anything of the sort keeping me awake, I still have to wake up at 6 and to eat with my family. I guess technically I could wake up as late as 8 and then none of this would be an issue, but I want to be able to eat dinner with my family because I care about them and I love them, even though they may not think that sometimes. And I also because it's hot and fresh. Spaghetti's only good for so long. So, but really it's because I just want to eat with them and, you know, maybe have a chance of actually talking to one of them when they're not scrolling through their phones or being busy doing work. But I don't mean that in a bad way, by the way. They're busy people because they have to be. I'm not exactly from a high-class, rich, 7-figure family by any means. I think we're considered middle class, if that. But yeah. So like I do try and eat with my family. I do try and socialize with them so they don't just consider me some, you know, grifter. I still want to be part of the family a little bit. So I go and eat with them, and then I see them all to bed before I go to work. Pretty much. That's all I really do. But they seem to not mind. So plus the food is nice and hot, might as well, you know. And if I wake up at 6 and I don't go to bed until 11, that's only 7 hours of sleep. And for some of y'all need to go to bed because that sounds normal to you. That is not normal. You should be getting 8 hours of sleep. And I know for some of you, you really just can't. But if you can, you should aim for 8 hours of sleep. And the reason I'm no longer going to practice on days where I work out is because I cannot function with less than 8 hours of sleep. Y'all seen me every day this week hopped up on caffeine like you would not believe. Especially, I think yesterday, I was deep into the caffeine. I had more caffeine than crack addicts have crack. Like, I'm talking so much caffeine gets me through a regular day without sleep. So I aim for 8 hours of sleep because that's really where it starts getting, I can even work. But really, I need almost 10 in order to function properly. Like full, 9 yards. I had caffeine today, but I actually did get 10 hours of sleep, and that's why I'm still able to, be kind of lively. I'm not crashing off of caffeine because it was just there to not make me tired to get to work. I was just trying to keep myself awake as long as I could without making myself slower. So I wasn't going. I was trying to make it so I didn't have to go full throttle until I was done and then just crash. So that's the only reason I had caffeine today. That and because I'll probably would have actually really crashed on the caffeine addiction type thing. So that's why I'm going to do that. I'm also probably going to lower the amount of times I work out, not because I'm I'm trying to be a wuss, but also because it's really just not practical for me to work 3 times a week and also practice, because that's only 4 days worth of practice, and I have to be able to do some stuff quickly. So I want to be able to make sure I can account for everything while also doing as much practicing as I can. Yeah, that's my reasoning. If I don't practice, it's either because I worked out or because I'm still a lazy bum. But most often it will be because I worked out. That's actually the case for the last couple videos. It's because I went and worked out. Or holidays, whatever. I probably won't practice on most holidays. Some of them I will, but most of them I won't. So, like, I didn't practice 4th of July. I didn't practice Father's Day. I don't really feel the need to, honestly. I think everyone should have the holiday off. So, look at that, almost 2 hours. I almost want to keep going just to make it 2 hours long, but I'm not gonna. Thank y'all for joining me. I'm sorry that this really just turned into a rant with occasional practicing rather than the other way around like it should be. But thank y'all for bearing with me this long. It's honestly kind of nice to talk even when I'm not actually talking to anyone. It's just, it's nice. I don't know. I feel like I get a lot out of this. Y'all are more or less my therapist. I'm just talking to myself though. Yeah. I don't mean that to be the case. It just kind of is because that's how I work. I like ranting, and this is what happens when I'm awake and fully functioning. I rant. My friends know me to be a ranter. I do this a lot. It's common. Yeah, this is probably going to happen again if I get sleep like I'm supposed to. So, thank y'all for joining me. Y'all probably learned quite a bit today. If you didn't learn anything, you weren't watching. So, yeah, goodbye. I will see y'all tomorrow morning. I'm really a bit padding this out to see if I can make it to 2 hours without running out of things to say. But I will see y'all tomorrow morning. I'm not working out tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is Sunday, so I wouldn't be able to anyway. Yeah, I'm done. I ran out of things to say. That spider I have not seen that spider in a minute. I'm kind of worried I'm going to open the door. It's going to jump into the car. So, bye.